All magic is done with the mind. And the tools that we use are there as aids to train us in using our mind properly. Sometimes we aren't able to visualize very well. We can use props to symbolize whatever it is that we're trying to achieve magically. You have within you already the power to create what you want. The power within you can yield some profound changes in your life, and sometimes some sudden changes in your life, just by learning how to focus your mind in a certain way. The Demiurge is what I call the mass mind, the collective ego. The Demiurge is traditionally seen as an architect or a builder, capable of building an illusory world for us. And that's what we interact with. And what a lot of people don't understand is that our three-dimensional experiences here are all reflections of thought forms. Sometimes reflection doesn't work for certain people. You can think of them as condensed, solidified, physicalized, crystallized thought forms. The collective consciousness, the Demiurge, is responsible for our collective reality as we understand it. We must understand that the Demiurge creates illusion. Our individual minds also can create illusion. And it's perfectly fine to live in an illusory world and to experience illusion as long as you understand that that's what it is. There's no sin in going to see a movie, but we all understand that that movie is an illusion, and we're there to enjoy the illusion. The way we have things set up in this world, we really believe that everything is happening the way it's happening, because the architect creates the illusion that all the senses are involved. It's not just sitting in a dark theater, watching something with our eyes and listening to it with our ears. All of our senses are involved through 3 dimensions. So if we understand that it's illusory, we also can understand that it's malleable. Now, ultimately, our goal is to awaken from this illusion and understand that there's a world beyond this illusion that's actually what we want. But in the meantime, there's nothing wrong with creating within the illusion according to our desires. And this is magic. Some people call it miracles, when you can see changes occur in the world that are for your good. You get a debt paid, or you get a disease healed, or you get a relationship healed, or you start a new relationship. All kinds of things can happen by working magically. Magic can seem otherworldly, but it's actually quite natural. Society, the Demiurge in general, conditions each and every one of us to believe things. One of the main beliefs that the Demiurge conditions us to own is the belief that life is a struggle. It's our lot in life to struggle for survival. The physical world is perceived as a place of limitation and struggle. We're taught that we need to compete for resources. We need to compete for what we need. And that's not magical. When we decide to create through magic, we do so in spite of these beliefs. Everybody else is struggling for resources, and we create the resource that we need. We bypass all of that struggle. It's imperative that we learn to pierce the veil of illusion in order to do so, to get rid of the idea that there's not enough for us, that we have to engage in the games of this Demiurge. The only way that we can have any power, magically speaking, is by eschewing the beliefs that are common within the mass mind or the Demiurge. Believing in limitation and scarcity is what is stopping us from achieving what we want. You can't do both. You can't be committed to scarcity and limitation and be magical. Magic goes beyond limitations. Magic is unlimited. Magic is pure potential. We learn by imitation. We learn from our parents, who learn from their parents, who learn from their parents. We learn by watching everybody around us using physical force to solve apparent physical problems. We never quite understand why things seem to get worse when people are struggling so hard to make them better. And that's because nobody teaches us that when we struggle physically to solve a physical problem, we're setting up resistance. And when we set up resistance, we're invoking a law. And that law states the more that we push against something, the more it pushes back against us. That's the law of reversed effort. The ideas of scarcity, the ideas of struggle, the ideas of resistance become concrete for us through the act of worry. And that's another tool that we pick up from the Demiurge all around us. We believe that if we're not worried, that we don't care, and that somehow worrying about things is going to help, and that if we give up worry, we're going to make it much worse. Because nobody ever tells us that worry is a way to cement our problems in place. Nobody ever teaches us that. I don't remember ever hearing that when I grew up. Now, before we go on with this, I want to be able to clear up something about the Demiurge. The Demiurge is not a sentient being. It's an artificial construct based on our collective thinking. It's a machine-like device that we have put in place. And it has no power over us once we realize that we can detach from it. We don't have to think along the lines of the Demiurge. We don't have to think along the lines of our own egos either. But we have to understand that we're doing it before we can stop doing it. We have to understand that worry is something that the Demiurge is convincing us to do, because the Demiurge is there to keep status quo. And part of keeping status quo is don't solve your problems. Stay stuck. Stay competitive. Stay struggling. You can see this because society praises people who work really hard and get nowhere. Well, they may not be very successful, but look at how hard they work. It's not that hard work is bad, but if you're doing true hard work that creates results, it doesn't feel like hard work because you love what you're doing so much. You're so enmeshed in the activity that what looks like hard work to other people is actually successful action. But society doesn't see it that way. Society says, no, you have to work hard and you have to toil. That's all that matters. It's realistic and responsible to worry. It's realistic and responsible to work hard. It's realistic and responsible to budget because there's not enough money to go around. It's realistic and responsible to scrape by. That makes you a better person. This is a trap. It makes us not only believe that we never can have enough, but that it's good that we never have enough because we're somehow morally superior. So it's all nonsense. When I was first introduced to magic, I was taught that the mind had 3 different levels. There's the deep mind, the surface mind, and the soul mind. Some people call it the subconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious. They have 3 very different functions. It's a structured machine, our mind, and it's meant to work for us on our behalf, but then it gets co-opted by this Demiurge. It gets co-opted by the group mind, and it gets co-opted by our own ego, which is a belief in lack, limitation, separation. Once we understand how the mind works, it's much easier for us to choose how to work the mind. And we can work the mind any way we want to. We can continue to work our mind on behalf of the Demiurge and our own personal egos, or we can learn how to work the mind based on what we want, what our soul drives us to desire. The deep mind is like fertile ground, fertile soil. This deep mind holds infinite power to create anything we desire. Just like the earth can grow any kind of seed. It's very powerful, but it also is blind. It doesn't have a sense of reason to it. It won't judge. It won't filter. It accepts any seed that is planted into it, just like the earth does. Imagine a soil that's so fertile that no matter what you plant into it, it's going to give it to you. So you can plant a car, you can plant a home, you can plant a relationship, you can plant debt, you can plant problems, you can plant fights, you can plant disease, you can plant anything you want. No matter what gets planted in that soil, it's so powerful and so fertile, you are going to get results. And it won't say, nope, not these seeds. It just takes the seeds and grows them. If you're planting the seeds of the group mind, swallowing the pill that everybody gives you, you plant in those seeds, then you're going to have a life that's full of those kinds of plants. If you're planting seeds of worry, you're going to have lots to worry about. If you're planting seeds of joy and love, you're going to have some joy and some love. Most people have a little of this and a little of that. and they just believe that they're products of fate, and they don't realize that they've been the active agent all this time. And that's where the surface mind comes in. The surface mind's the gardener or the operator of the machine. It's the smallest part of the mind, but it's the most powerful in that it chooses what seeds to plant. And if we don't discipline our conscious, aware surface mind, we plant by rote. The rational mind believes whatever it believes and plants the seeds of those beliefs. And then the deep mind gives it evidence to support those beliefs, and we keep our beliefs in check that way. But the moment you open your mind to the idea that you could choose a different thought seed to plant, you have an opportunity to start to change things. And you no longer have to plant by rote. And that's what a magician is. The surface mind acts by logic. It only plants what it chooses to plant. Whether you choose consciously or you choose by rote, it doesn't matter. It's still a choice. You want to be your own sovereign person. There's no rule that you have to go along with the group mind. There's no law that you have to do that. I know it takes a bit of courage to make some new choices, but you can do it. And that's what a magician is. That's what a witch is. A courageous individual that doesn't go along with the group mind and does what they want to do and has experiences they want to have. The surface mind tends to reject any idea that doesn't align with its belief system. And it happens automatically because we tend to have very wandering minds. We are very undisciplined with our minds. So it behooves us to discipline our conscious mind, to practice things like meditation and concentration, to train ourselves magically. There's all kinds of different ways to train yourself. We have many courses in training yourself how to become a better and better magician and witch. The more trained you are, the more powerful you are at creating results for yourself. You're not just allowing whatever to get planted into your deep mind. Then we have that soul mind, that superconscious mind. It's called the kingdom of heaven in the New Testament. The kingdom of heaven just means your higher self, your higher mind, your soul's mind. The soul's mind, the higher mind, the superconscious mind is where the perfect divine design of your life already exists. Now, when we say the divine design, that doesn't mean fatalism. It doesn't mean there's a plan and that this is going to happen, then that's going to happen, and this is going to happen. It's a pattern. It's a divine pattern. In this divine mind is where your body is whole, your debts are paid, your relationships are healthy, and all your earthly problems are already solved. What we've discussed briefly already is that the error is always in the surface mind. When the surface mind starts to control what's beyond its limits, that's when we get into trouble. That's when we start to panic and have problems and block the natural flow of our magic. This kind of forced willpower that many modern manifestation schools, and some magical schools too, I might say, can be really misleading. They'll have you try to force your personal will through intense visualizations and repeating affirmations over and over again to make something happen, to force your will upon a situation. And that causes a lot of tension and conflict. All magic, to be successful, must happen within a relaxed body. And if your body's relaxed, that means your mind is relaxed. You must learn how to be relaxed and focused at the same time. If you can learn to be relaxed and focused while you are casting your spell, you are going to be successful. You cannot force yourself to believe something that you don't believe. And so this idea of programming your deep mind through force is misguided. Taking desperate or forceful actions tends to reinforce what's already there. And people say, oh, this stuff doesn't work. Well, it's not that this stuff doesn't work. It's that you're not doing this stuff. You're doing something else. When you're trying to force your personal will upon your deep mind or your subconscious mind, you're not working magic. You're doing something else. To be successful, you must invoke the law of non-resistance. Whatever you resist persists. What you push against pushes against you. That's the law of reversed effort. To undo the law of reversed effort, you must invoke the law of non-resistance. And this means struggle against a problem must be identified and eliminated. Whether it's physical struggle, mental struggle, it doesn't matter. You're setting up a force field which crystallizes the problem when you resist a problem. So to overcome a problem, you stop struggling against it, stop giving it your attention. You refuse to engage with it on any level. And instead, you decide what you do want. You relax and you focus and allow that new thought form to be deposited into the fertile ground of your deep mind and allow it to grow. You take your hands off of the problem altogether and stop resisting it. The ego mind will scream at you and say, "You're being so irresponsible. You're going to make it worse. Danger, danger." The red lights flash. When that happens, when the red lights flash and there's danger, danger from your ego mind, you're probably on the verge of some real success. The only reason the ego is upset is because it is being defied. And when you defy the ego, you dissolve it because it's not real. Remember, it's just a set of beliefs in not. The soul is I am. The ego is I am not. I am is real. I am not is a construct. So this is spiritual indifference. This is the law of indifference. Spiritual indifference. It doesn't mean that you are surrendering to the problem. It means that you're acting with confidence. If somebody told you your hair was blue when it's brown, you don't get upset about it. You disregard it. You laugh at it. When your circumstances are showing you a problem in 3 dimensions that you want to overcome, you consider it the same kind of thing. This isn't real. I don't have blue hair. That's funny. I'm not going to resist this. I'm going to focus on what I do want. And that's how you transform your conscious mind into an agent of magic versus an agent of enslavement. In the Psalms, that one line in the Psalms where it says, "Cast thy burdens upon the Lord, and he will sustain you." The Lord is your superconscious mind. The Lord is your higher self. You're letting your surface mind no longer grapple with the problem, and you are hurling it to the superconscious mind that's already got the problem solved. You can call it anything you want. I just call it casting the burden because that's how I learned it. There was a New Thought author in the early 20th century named Florence Scovel Shinn who talked about this as well. But it comes straight from the Psalms. When you cast a burden on the superconscious mind, you're just throwing the ball to the superconscious mind because it knows how to handle it. That's all you're doing. You're saying, this part of my mind is not capable of handling this problem, so I don't want it. I'm giving it to you because you will handle it. And that's how you let go of resistance. And when you do let go of resistance, it leaves a mental void. And that void is wonderful because nature abhors a vacuum. And that gives you something to fill. You fill it with your desire. You can't solve your problem with your conscious mind, but you can let it go. You can drop the burden. Sometimes I'll take something that's not too heavy, maybe a jar lid or a ball of twine, something that's just something I put in my hand. And I just think about the problem and I just drop it onto the ground, whatever it is. Instead of saying, I cast this burden, I drop this problem and the infinite takes it for me. And the idea of dropping something can be so freeing. I like the idea of actually dropping a physical item when you're trying to drop a problem. It's a very magical act to drop the problem and recognize that my surface mind is not capable of figuring this out. But if I drop it and my superconscious mind takes over it, it will program my deep mind automatically. And then I'll wake up with a solution the next morning without even trying. Maybe not always the next morning. Maybe it'll be happening while I'm taking a walk or something, but definitely when I'm not thinking about the problem. The solution will just flash and I'll say, well, that was easy. And there you have it. That's magic for you. Sometimes it won't even be the solution that I have anything to do with. The solution will just appear as form in my life. It's like, well, I didn't know I was owed that money. I didn't understand that that check was coming. That's more than enough to cover this bill. That sort of thing happens all the time. That's magic. So shifting your focus from anxiety and worry to peace and dropping your own need to solve the problem and instead focusing on what you want and letting the superconscious mind program the deep mind for you. And when you do this, whether you're casting the burden or whether you're dropping the problem, you have to feel an immediate sense of emotional relief or you didn't do it, which means do it again. And if you have to do it again and again and again and again and again until you feel that relief, so be it. I've had to drop a problem 70 times in one day. When you're casting a spell, when you're creating change, in the realm of the superconscious, it happens immediately. That thought form is created immediately, and it exists in the astral plane, that causative plane. It's already there. But the third dimension is a dimension of time and space. So in order for something to exist in space here, it needs time. That's why seeds take time to germinate. That's why babies are born after a certain amount of time. It doesn't always have to take a long time. In fact, it usually doesn't have to take a long time. It can be sped up exponentially to where you get sometimes instantaneous results. Only when you learn that the lag time between casting a spell and its manifestation requires your faith. You have to have faith. You have to have certainty that it's already happened in the invisible, and now it is in the process of manifesting. It's not going to manifest. It is manifesting, and it's going to take whatever amount of time is perfect for it, but it won't be late. It'll be right on time. And so your job is to cool your jets and not to start setting up that law of resistance again by, where is it? Where is it? I need it. I need it. So that lag time requires you to have faith. It's up to you to discipline your mind to drop the worry and to drop the thought of the manifestation of your spell as much as you can. And also to not talk to other people about it, to retain that law of secrecy, especially before the manifestation happens. But even after the manifestation happens, don't talk about the fact that you got that by magic. Don't do that. All that does is cause more scrutiny where you don't need it. You don't need to be defensive of your magic. In fact, it's better if you're never having to be defensive of your magic. People will see your manifestations when they happen, and the less you say about them, the better. You need to step away from the crowd. You need to step away from the demiurge in order to see things differently. It's up to you to not only know about these principles, but to put them to work, prove them to yourself. Take a situation in your life, especially one that seems kind of impossible, and test this out. Now, if it's way beyond your current magical sphere of influence, you may have to break it down into smaller goals to start with, but that's okay. There's no urgent need in your life that is out of your sphere of influence. The urgency can be dropped. The only reason why you have a magical sphere of influence is based on your surface mind and what it believes is possible. Anything's possible for your superconscious mind. Your deep mind will give you anything that's deposited into it. It's up to you to put these things to practice so that you can start seeing that there aren't the limits that you thought there were. And that's how your sphere of influence expands, by your surface mind accepting what's possible. So knowing all about this stuff isn't going to do you any good. You have to put it to practice. There are several videos and courses on the exact steps to go through, but it's very simple. You relax, you create a picture in your mind or a picture on your altar with symbols of what you want, and or maybe an incantation or affirmation about it. Relax, feel good about it, and let it go. And you do that every day for a few days until you start to get a sense of peace and certainty about the situation. And when you get that sense that it's certain, that means that your spell's been cast, that seed has been deposited properly. And then you let it go. You don't think about it anymore, and it will show up for you. It's not as hard as people want you to think it is, but we do have to follow those principles that we discussed today. Your results magically are never achieved through force, but through peace. You will win in your life when you can remain still and calm. Stillness is the key to magic, and all ancient wisdom teaches us that stillness is the key. This is what is meant in the Psalms when it says, "The meek shall inherit the earth." Inheriting the earth is inheriting your desires. Meek simply means peaceful and disciplined. So the person with a disciplined, peaceful, calm mind that works these principles properly will have what they want. The meek shall inherit the earth. And you're going to do it one spell at a time. And you'll convince your surface mind how powerful you are one spell at a time. And pretty soon, what you think is possible will be so expanded that you will be a true wonder worker. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.